Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield on the road with Oklahoma, the brand new tour that's doing incredibly well. And one of the stars of it is called Ashley Day. And he's a man who seems to have taken the West End by storm. How are you?
I'm good, really good, thank you.
Nice to talk to you. I mean, you've got everything, haven't you, really? You've got that incredible voice, you've got the moves, you've got the looks. I mean, if I could just be you for one day, imagine being me.
It's, I don't know what to say about that. No, it's, I'm very lucky to have a role like this so I can do everything with it, you know.
I don't know about luck, though. When I look at your trajectory of where you've been, and you've done a lot of stuff, you don't get that many gigs by luck, do you? It's got to be preparation and an element of talent.
I work hard. I don't sit back on my laurels. I make sure I'm in the gym every day. I make sure my voice is in tip-top shape, because there's a lot of other guys who can do it, and I want to stay and work.
So the question I always ask is, why you then? Why did you get the gig and they didn't?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I'll have to ask Rachel that, the director. I think with this production and this show as well, it's got a huge problem that Curly has to do this ballet. And in most productions, they find themselves getting a double, which is just very strange for the audience's eye to see this person literally take the hat and put it on and pretend to be him. So I guess with this, my dance experience really helped them cast me.
What are you? Are you a singer, an actor, or a dancer then?
Oh, I do it all. I don't.
You're not going to do that old triple threat thing, are you?
I'm not going to say that word, but I try to keep them as strong as each other, you know.
Let's talk about your career and how you got here, because you're on the road with this show, but of course you made your name in the West End, and probably Book of Mormon. Was that the biggest gig? Yeah, I mean, that show when we first opened was insane, and I was on playing out a price within 2 weeks, so it was pretty... a lot of personal stuff was going on in my life. I'd lost my dad literally a week before we started tech, so a lot of that was going on, but I didn't actually see the scale. I mean, if I look back now, I go, wow, it was huge. So that was a special job, yeah. I absolutely love that show for the reason I love the producers. It just shocks so many people who think it's some cutesy musical, and it is the most outrageous musical on earth, isn't it? I mean, some of the subjects, the topics, we can't even bring up. They're outrageous.
We really can't. And I think we, as a company, every so often we'd have these moments of going, oh my God, we're actually saying these words. Like, we're getting paid to say this and do this. And yeah, I mean, when you saw people walking out of the audience, you'd get some sort of kick out of it. It's really clever, and it was a privilege to be in it and deliver the lines and the songs, because like you said, they're brilliant.
And then, of course, there's that song, I Believe, which is just the sort of 11 o'clock showstopper. Mm-hmm. How does it feel doing that?
That is a marathon of a song. But probably the best moments I've ever spent on stage. You know, it's not Defying Gravity for a man, but it's probably a similar feeling. That's what the song, you know, that's the song of the show, and also the journey where the character comes to this point, and he just sells himself to the audience.
Do you still pinch yourself when you find yourself on any stage and that pin focuses on you? And like we went back at the beginning of the interview and we talked about they chose you and not someone else. Yeah. It is inspiring, isn't it, that you're there and you're doing it and you're still relevant?
I love it. I mean, it's what I always wanted to do, and I'm just grateful that I can do it for a living and hopefully continue doing it.
What's it like in this being the nice bit of trouser? Because the ladies of a certain age who come to Oklahoma particularly like you, don't they?
I mean, Curly he's that bad boy who kind of everyone shouldn't like. You know, he's arrogant, he's cocky, he messes Laurie around. So I think there's that sort of thing to it. And yeah, I mean, it's playing cowboy's pretty cool, you know. It is. The get-up's pretty cool. Quite uncomfortable, but it's probably the butchest role I've played.
Right. Because when you look at something like Mormon, I mean, it is a marathon from the beginning to the end. I don't know how they do that 8 times a week. Yeah. How does this role compare? Is it more fun because it's easier, or is it harder because it's not got those massive, great big numberlets and ensemble?
It's for the role of Curly. There's 2 breaks in Act 1, and they're 10 minutes each. So when I have those breaks, I'm silent, I'm sat down, I'm gathering myself. I'm normally on my phone or just chilling out, because I know that as soon as I go back out, you know, I go into the smokehouse and it just doesn't stop. But the differences between Elder Price and Curly, well, this show is physical. There's fights. So my arm and my hip by the end of the week are in agony.
And it is tough. I think people forget not only the fact that you're having to go from theatre to theatre, which isn't easy, and life on the road is tough. You're having to stay in hotels or in digs. Yeah. Then you've got to come and switch it on. On those days, like you say, if you've had a personal tragedy or something horrible's happened, where do you pull it from? How do you get on that stage?
For me, it's like a switch. As soon as I hear beginners, that's it. It's work. I've got to. It's, you know, I think it's from doing it from a young age. You just do it. There's no kind of I'll find myself halfway through Act 1. No, you just do it.
Is it cool being you at this point? I mean, you put your name into Google and it comes up with all of these, the biggest new thing in the West End articles, which is very nice. I mean, and unless you're paying hundreds of thousands for that to come to the top, somebody else must be writing them. It's quite nice that people say nice things, isn't it?
It's lovely, yeah. It's really nice. I just would like to continue being in shows that people enjoy, you know, and with Oklahoma, it's, you know, it's such a different show to my last job, but people love it for different reasons. You know, the sentimental values this show has to elderly people is so touching, because, you know, the Queen's favourite song was People Will Say We're in Love, and you see people having this reaction to it, and it's really touching.
And again, we're here today in Nottingham at the Theatrical, which has got to be one of the most gorgeous theatres in the world. It makes a difference, doesn't it?
This is my favourite theatre, and I'm not just saying that because we've been 8 weeks now, I think, and we've been to some really great theatres. The theatre in Dublin was really modern, but this one is like a little chocolate box. It's beautiful.
If only they could see backstage where we are now. I just asked if I could use the bathroom, and they handed me a shower to go and take a pee in. It's not all glamour backstage, is it?
It really isn't. This is all right, this one. I mean, it's clean.
It's clean, and there are no rats, unlike the Palladium and places like that, where at least you get things to look at while you're in your dressing room.
No, this one's all right. They do differ very, very largely.
Where do you go next? I mean, you've done that Book of Mormon, which is still probably the biggest show in the West End, maybe after Gypsy at this point, but I mean, it's a hot ticket that people still love. Then you're in this on tour. Have you got your eye on something to go to next?
I try not to do that because I find it unhealthy, because putting all of your eggs in one basket is just a recipe for disaster. You're not going to get what you want.
You can't predict the future either, can you?
You can't, and things, you know, come up from at different times. There's shows that have been, you know, long-running shows that I know will continue, and I'll probably be seen for them. But the things that will excite me are new projects with new people, and so who knows? I mean, there is a show that's just opened. Well, it's just open on Broadway that I'm praying. I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm praying it comes over here, because I know that I will be up for that role, and I would love to do it, yeah.
It's always exciting, isn't it, when you can see yourself doing something. Like Michael Ball said when he saw Hairspray, he knew he'd look great in a frock. It's the same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, this role isn't a woman, so that's just, yeah. But yeah, no, there are certain things and certain projects you hear about and you listen to and you go, that's me.
And in terms of how you got here, were you always singing? Were you always doing this? Has this always been who you are?
Yeah, ever since I was tiny. I worked with the NYMT from a young age as well, so there was always going off in the summer breaks and rehearsing for a show or something. So it's always been in my life. Yeah, I can't imagine what I would do. I have no idea what I'd do.
And finally, how sexy is it being on tour? Is it fun with a cast where you can go out afterwards and have a drink, or do you live this disciplined life where you're sort of gargling with glycerine and going to bed?
I go out on a Saturday night. If I want to go out, I go out on a Saturday night. But the rest of the week, I'm steaming straight to bed. I'm probably the most boring person in musical theatre. But it gives me a chance to actually live my life outside of work as well and do what I want to do and be able to do my job.
I guess the more talented you are, the more disciplined you have to be. And the second it sort of impacts on stage that you can't quite get there because last night you were having too much fun, that's probably where you're not going to get the next gig, isn't it?
Yeah, and no, I can't afford to trip up like that.
How old are you now?
28.
Right, 28. So there's a long way to go, isn't there?
Yeah.
In terms of the bigger roles, I mean, Les Miserables, something like that, would that appetise you? Because again, I could see you doing that.
Yeah. I have no... I mean, yeah, anything. I just want to keep on working and maybe try a different sort of part of this industry, maybe a bit telly, I don't know.
I've always wanted to be a giraffe in The Lion King. I don't suppose you could put a word in, could you?
I would call the casting director immediately.
Hey, listen, great to talk to you. Ashley Day is one of the big stars of this touring production of Oklahoma. Just name some of the hits for people if they go, what was that from Oklahoma? There's one called Oklahoma, which was quite a good song.
That's the title song. So my first song is Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. Then I think about 3 minutes after that is Sorry with the Fringe on Top. And then about 15 minutes later is People Say We're in Love. So they keep on, they roll.
Something like Oh, What a Beautiful Morning or Oklahoma, you can't get the words wrong because we're going to know, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. And yeah.
The whole audience is going to mock you if you get it wrong.
They will boo. Yeah. They will boo, yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty special and well-known song, yeah. I try not to mess it up.
Congratulations on being you. You have got that X factor that they talk about. And again, your CV is a testimony to your talent. And I wish you the best of luck in future. Thank you for talking to me.
Take care. Thanks.